Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to go and review Myrkul, Lord of Bones, an EDH deck tech on him. We are building him as an Enchantress deck. But before we get into the video, I just want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. You could also go and follow me on all my socials, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Jarvis_Moonbeam. And join my Discord by following the link in the description of the video below. And finally, there will also be a link to a new YouTube channel I'm involved in called Pass the Turn. It is going to feature EDH gameplay. But getting into it, Myrkul, Lord of Bones, is 4 white, black, green, legendary creature god, 7/5. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, it has indestructible. We're not really worried about that part too much. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment and loses all other card types. So because of that, the first thing we want to concentrate on having creatures with good static abilities. Athrio Stradveiled, 4 white and black, legendary god, 4/7. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, it isn't a creature. Beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So it gives you another option if you want the creature back instead of the enchantment. You could go and reanimate it. Dark Confidant, Bob, 1 and a black, 2/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library, put the card into your hand, and you lose life equal to its mana value. Dothy Voidwalker, 2 black. Shadow. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile instead with a void counter on it. Very important to play Graveyard Hate in Commander, and it being on a creature makes it even better. Plus, you can also sacrifice it, even when it's an enchantment, to choose an exile card with a void counter on it, and you may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Destiny Spinner, 1 and a green. It gives your creature and enchantment spells the ability to not be countered. And then for 3 and a green, target land you control can become an XX elemental, where X is the number of enchantments you control, and it's still a land. Dryad Elysian Grove gives you the ability to play an additional land on each of your turns, and it's also mana fixing. These lands control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. Karametric God of Harvest, 3 green white, another legendary god. Indestructible, as long as your devotion to green and white is less than 7, it isn't a creature. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So it also gives you more ramp. Opposition Agent, 2 and a black. Your Human Rogue, 3/2. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. And when an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them. So it shuts off tutors. Sir Conrad the Grim, 3 and 2 black. Legendary Human Knight, 5/4. He is one of my favorite cards of all time. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. And for 1 and a black, each player mills a card. The nice part about this is that when you decide to go and exile the card from your graveyard through Myrkul's ability, you also hit them for another point of damage when Sir Conrad, whether it's the creature or the enchantment Sir Conrad, is on the battlefield. Visir, a single black. Vampire Wizard, that's a 1/1. Gives you a sack outlet, and it lets you scry 1. Now, because we're going to be making a lot of enchantments, we want enchantment payoffs. A Johnny's Chosen, 2 and 2 white. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white cat creature token. And then if that enchantment is an aura, you may attach it to the token. We're not playing auras. And it's a 3/3 cat soldier. Archon of Sun's Grace, 2 and 2 white. Archon, 3/4. Flying lifelink. Pegasus creatures you control have lifelink. And then whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under control, create a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying. So it gives you another way to buff your board with more creatures. Doomwake Giant, 4 and a black. Whenever Doomwake Giant or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn, and it's a 4/6. So this really isn't going to make a huge difference on the battlefield other than getting rid of like these 1/1s or X1s that your opponents have. But if you're able to stack it with multiple enchantments coming in, like a board wipe and bring all your stuff back, it does pay off quite well. Eidolon of Blossoms, 2 and 2 green, enchantment creature spirit. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card, and it's a 2/2. Catilda Dawnheart Martyr, 1 and 2 white. Legendary creature spirit warlock. Flying lifelink protection from vampires, which isn't that important, but its power and toughness are each equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. It also has Disturb, which means you can go and cast it from your graveyard for the alternative side for 3 and 2 white. It's an enchantment aura and you can enchant creature. Enchanted creature has the same abilities where it's a flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires, and it gets the +X/+X, where X is the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. Nessian Wanderer is 1 and a green. This gives you an ability to go and get more lands in your hand, because whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put that card into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Sanctum Weaver, 1 and a green. Enchantment creature Dryad, 0/2. Tap it and add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Setessan Champion, 2 and a green. Human Warrior, 1/3. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Setessan Champion and draw a card. So what's also very important about all those creatures is that you will want to bring all those creatures back as the enchantments, and all those static abilities that are the enchantment payoffs also pay off when they're enchantments instead of creatures as well. Then you have Sphere of Safety, 4 and a white. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays X for each of those creatures, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Starfield of Nyx, 4 and a white. This is going to be one of our big finishers. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return a target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types. It has base power and base toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost. So all those creatures that got changed into enchantments change back into creatures, but their power and toughness are equal to their mana value instead of what their power and toughness is printed on the card. So it's a good way to go and swing out with those enchantments, with those creatures again, with them being enchantments. Sterling Grove, green and a white. Other enchantments you control have Shroud. 1 and sacrifice it. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. Not really going to be looking for any other enchantments, but it's nice to give our enchantments protection. Then we get into interaction and good stuff. So, interaction, stuff that interacts with your board or protects your board, your opponent's board, or protects you from your opponent. And good stuff is stuff that really doesn't fit into the other categories, like Smothering Tithe, for instance, which is in the deck. But Deathrite Shaman, Hybrid Golgari. Tap it, exile target land from a graveyard and 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Black tap it, exile target instant or sorcery from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. Green and tap it, exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. Eternal Witness, 1 and 2 green. 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Fiend Artisan, Hybrid Golgari, Hybrid Golgari. Fiend Artisan gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. And then X Golgari. Sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a creature card with a converted mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. And activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. What's very nice about that is you're able to go sacrifice the creature, get it back as an enchantment, plus get the new creature on the battlefield. Junji the Midnight Sky, 3 and 2 black, Flying Menace. When it dies, choose 1. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. And put target non-dragon creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose 2 life. So a little bit of a reanimation there. Reclamation Sage, 2 and a green. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Safi Eriksdotter, green and a white, 2/2. Sacrifice it, and when target creature is put into your graveyard this turn, return that card to the battlefield. Just give you a little bit of recursion, which is important. Academ's Awakening. X black, black, black. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different converted mana cost X or less. Reason why you want to do this is our commander is 7 mana, so you might be losing creatures that you want to have back on the battlefield sooner than your commander hits the field, and this is a way to go and get it back. And then it could also be played as a land, Agni under Crypt, and as it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped, and it taps for black. Baldur Recovery, 2 and a green. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and it also acts as a land where it's a tapped green source. Damn. 2 black, destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated, and you could overload it for 2 white, white. So it's a flexible board wipe. Either single target removal or wipe that board. Eerie Ultimatum. 2 white, 3 black, 2 green. Return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, in Commander, every card in your deck has a different name except for your basic lands. So you can return every card in your graveyard to the battlefield, and one except your basic lands, and you can just choose one of each of those if those are in your graveyard. Very nice to have. Farewell, 4 white, white. Choose one or more. Exile all artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments, or all graveyards. One of the best board wipes that has been printed in recent memory. On-do inversion, 6 white, white, destroy all non-land permanents. Also, taps for white as backside as a land. Toxic Deluge, 2 and a black. As an additional cost to cast it, pay X life. All creatures get -X, -X until end of turn. This gets around the indestructible creatures, which is very important, especially with a play group that likes to play Toski. English Unmaking, 1 white, black. Exile target non-land permanent, you lose 3 life. Beast Within, 2 and a green. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Generous Gift, 2 and a white. It's the same thing as Beast Within, except it is in white, and you get a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Hagar Maulin, 2 and 2 black. It costs 1 less to cast if an opponent controls no basic lands, and you destroy target creature. It also is a land on the other side. Heroic Intervention, 1 and a green. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Crossing Grip, 2 and a green. As split second, and destroy target artifact or enchantment. Mythos of Nethroi, 2 and a black. Destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature, or if you spend EDH to play it, so green, black, and white, you can destroy any target non-land permanent. Swords to Plowshares, a single white. Exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. Nefarious Protection, 2 and a white. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you have protection from everything. All permanents control phase out, and then you exile Nefarious Protection. Veil of Summer is a single white. It's an instant draw card, and if opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn, and spells you control can't be countered at this turn, you and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black until end of turn. Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots. We all know what both of those do. Mirari's Wake is 3 a green and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced. Smothering Tithe, 3 and a white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If they don't, you create a treasure. Sylvan Library, 1 and a green. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life, or put the card on top of your library. Meat Hook Massacre, a favorite of mine. X black black. When it enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X until end of turn. And whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever a creature an opponent controls die, you gain 1 life. And then we have our ramp and our mana base. Birds of Paradise, taps are a mana of any color. Steve, Superior Tribe Elder. When you can sacrifice it and search your library for a basic land, and it comes onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Important with Steve and Birds of Paradise, they can both come back to the enchantments and still have their activated abilities. Cultivate, 2 and a green. Search your library for 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them onto the one onto the battlefield, the other into your hand. Forest Seek, 1 in a green. Search your library for plains, island, swamp, or mountain, put onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Kodama's Reach, 2 in a green, does the same thing as Cultivate. Nature's Lore, 1 in a green. Search your library for a forest card and put that card onto the battlefield and shuffle. 3 Visits, does the same thing as Nature's Lore. Astronaut's Altar, for 3. You can sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Also, it provides you with a sack outlet as well as mana. Belwar Stone, 2 mana, and it can add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Soul Ring. Talisman of Hierarchy, it is the Orzhov Talisman. Talisman of Resilience is the Golgari Talisman. Talisman of Unity is the Selesnya Talisman. And you'll notice that I only play Talismans, I don't play Signets. I do not like Signets. Now for our lands, we have Bajuka Bog, Bountiful Promenade, Command Tower, Deathcap Glade, Exotic Orchard, Fabled Passage, Field of the Dead, Godless Shrine, High Market, Indatha Triome, Overgrown Farmland, Phyrexian Tower, Reliquary Tower, Sand-Stepped Citadel, Shattered Sanctum, Takanuma Abandoned Mire, Temple Garden, Undergrowth Stadium, Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, Vault of Champions, Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, 6 Forest, 4 Plains, and 3 Swamps. Now, there's a lot going on there. Your best way to finish the game out is by animating all your enchantments or making a big battlefield with Cats or Pegasus. You could also get incremental value through Sir Conrad. It seems like a really fun deck to play. Let me know your thoughts on it. And yet again, just remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.